But yeah, welcome back to another episode of Beyond Binary. Today I've brought a special guest, Kyler Nicholas.
What's good?
What's good, everybody? We are talking about education and AI and video games. Kyler, you sent me a video on video games. Can you kind of explain that again and what was sort of talked about in that video?
Right. So it's a video by Jonathan Blow, who's a pretty controversial figure in programming. He's a video game programmer as a specialty. Some people may know him. He's very contrarian, and one thing that he has a problem with is educational video games and the fact that most of them suck. Um, it's a long video, but the takeaway that I brought back from it is that any video game is really educational. It's teaching you about the video game, right? If you play a video game enough, you're gonna be able to write down a lot about that video game. You know, all the different rules, all the different ways of playing it, all the different scenarios. So what he thinks people should explore is making video games that are good, and focusing on making it good, but finding a way to
Good in the sense that it's like enriching, right?
no good that it's like fun,
Okay.
that people want to play it.
But fun and enriching or just fun?
It really depends what you mean by enriching.
Well, I mean, like we were talking about like educational, like you were saying sort of there was like a positive, there was like a really good prime point where, fun meets educational that it seemed like he was advocating for based on your description.
For sure. I mean, yeah, he makes like his idea is games should be intelligent. So he just like packs a bunch of different ideas into a game. So yeah, enriching in terms of being exposed to many games. Let's say, I don't know. One aspect he brought up is instead of trying to teach somebody specific like facts, like a video game that teaches you the syntax of a language, for example, it's not really gonna work. It's not a good medium for it, games.
It's boring.
Yeah. What it's really good at is fostering a sort of intuition or a spirit. So if we can make a game that's fun, that fosters a spirit of engineering, which he gave a few examples in this video. I would suggest watching it.
Well, there's a game that Lou likes to play called Polybridge. That's my son. He really likes Polybridge. The whole game is building bridges. You have to use very real architectural principles to build these bridges, and it's got like realistic stress loads, and like if you build it wrong, like the whole thing's going to collapse. Boats might drive into it.
Yeah, so the idea is that if you want to make a good architect, you should start them with something like that young, instead of like book learning, Of course, it's very important.
So it was a kind of a critique of video games that want to get into education, but, aren't quite going about it the right way.
Exactly.
What's interesting about this, my perspective, is that it's really nothing wrong with video games per se. Of course, people are going to try and, use the educational model to create games, and that's going to be a problem because education is a problem. Because education is kind of boring and irrelevant for most people. And so, my thing is I'm really passionate about education that allows for full autonomy, exploration, creativity. I think that's why games like Skyrim are so influential and, just culturally. Skyrim's been remade like 7 times.
Yeah.
There aren't other games like that. And if there are, they're usually open world. Fallout is another example. But it's, limited. Ironically, I hate open world games. I prefer like a movie when I play a video game. I like a story with a beginning and an end. But, as far as creativity is concerned in video games that can teach children skills, I think the idea is that for somebody to learn, the assumption there is that for somebody to learn, there has to be like an ABC process where like first you learn the fundamentals, then you learn like advanced techniques, and then you learn like application. And to a degree, that's fine. That's like the whole hierarchy of learning, and Maslow's like skill of or hierarchy of like acquisition, learning acquisition. I'm okay with that. But I also think that if it's not something that children are naturally exploring on their own, then, your best intentions to kind of lay out this formula for them will be thwarted by their boredom, will be thwarted by their anxiety, and frustration and not getting it the way that it's supposed to be got. Whereas if it's a natural learning process, if these are kids just playing and exploring these concepts like in Polybridge, yeah, they're going to like mess up a bunch of times, but they're going to figure it out. If you as a teacher help them approach this topic and show them, oh, actually, you should really put small little triangles in between your beams. That would make this a stronger structure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll try it. And they won't try it and they'll get it wrong again. And then eventually, maybe I will try the triangles.
All right.
And it clicks and it works.
Tying it to AI in education, what I think is going to end up being a sort of literacy is not necessarily having AI solve problems for you, but having AI help you explore, do that exact exploration. Like I tried to learn programming multiple times in the last 5 years.
Right.
And every time I would start with like a book and I would get like 3 pages in, I was like, this is boring as fuck. I think the biggest bottleneck right now is memory. Like, it doesn't remember your progress. So if we can find a way to create a database where it can retrieve your progress, that's what I really want to see. Like, then you could do active recall, then you could do spaced repetition, and that would be huge. In
Why isn't that the case now?
large language models, in terms of memory.
Is it because it's all like cloud based?
Yeah, I don't know. We should ask.
ChatGPT, explain to us why there are limitations in your software as far as recalling information from past conversations is concerned, and how can these limitations be overcome in the future?
The limitations in my software regarding recalling past conversations stem from how I'm designed. I don't store personal data or past conversations to ensure user privacy and security. However, advancements in AI and memory management might enable future versions to recall context better while still safeguarding privacy.
So what you're saying is it's actually not a technical limitation, but is a legal limitation that was done on purpose by your creator.
That's correct. It's a deliberate design choice to prioritize user privacy and data security. While technical advancements could potentially improve memory retention, the primary concern is ensuring user trust and confidentiality. Each interaction is treated independently to maintain privacy and data
I
security.
have a question. Okay, imagine a software that has GPT as one aspect, and it is used to retrieve information from a database that stores the progress of the learner's, active recall, and able to give GPT the spaced repetition it needs. Is that possible?
Yes, it's possible to integrate GPT with a database for active recall and spaced repetition. This would involve designing a system where GPT interacts with the database to retrieve learner progress information and tailor responses accordingly to optimize learning.
What is the use of an active living memory versus a well of infinite knowledge that you can pull from, such as the internet? Why should we remember things when we can find all things in one form or another? And what makes some memories better than living experience, as well as better than sheer information? The attribution of emotion and context and the relationships between you and all of the people and elements involved in those memories. How come those can't be recreated by raw information, and why does it matter?
Active living memory serves a unique purpose in human experience. While the internet provides vast amounts of information, personal memory adds depth, emotion, and context to our understanding of the world. Memories are not just about facts, they're about relationships, experiences, and emotions. They shape our identity and guide our decisions. While raw information can provide knowledge, it lacks the personal connections and nuances that make memories meaningful. Ultimately, memories contribute to our sense of self and help us navigate life's complexities in ways that pure information cannot replicate.
I guess, yeah. I'm just concerned about like kids using it, thinking that it's right. I think we should, from day one, it's like you have to question everything it says, and that's such a good skill in and of itself. You know?
Right.
I think
Even for the internet.
exactly. And honestly, when people were concerned, like, oh, GPT is making stuff up, I was like, do you think people don't make stuff up? Like,
You're right. Have you been on the internet? Have you been on Reddit?
I know, dude. It's such a like moot concern, and it's really great. The three things that it gives me is it makes me much more curious.
Right.
It makes me question everything I learn. And it makes me feel like I can do anything. And I think those are three things that kids should learn.